All right, folks, we're live. Welcome to the Antrea show. Luther and Grayson are here. Luther, what's going on?
I'm here for the Antrea.
I'm
doing great, man.
And let's see. I'm gonna put my. What's that?
I said it's Wednesday. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. You're right. It's Wednesday.
I'm looking forward to a long weekend coming up here soon.
Wait, why is my... There we go. My downstream stuff's there. Okay, cool. Let's get started. So, this has got a lot going on today in this show. So we've got, we were going to talk about Egress Ips came up, and then there's also a new incoming doc on, yeah, there's that bonus. There's Antonio's Conntrack fix that we're going to talk about, but then there's a doc on, there's a pull request that just went up from Zhensheng today, and let's see here. And I think John's here from the Carvel team. So we're going to talk a little bit about YTT today and look at how it pokes in with the rest of the Tanzu framework stuff. John has helped me a lot doing some of the YTT stuff for Windows and the Antrea installation. So hi, John. Thanks for coming. And of course, Junjin is here. Junjin, we are always very lucky to have Junjin. He's our Antrea expert. Well, we've also got Grayson too, though. So we're just really lucky today. We've just got a lot of friends here. Okay. So there is a pull. Look, Grayson, you're the last guy. You're the most recent. This is a good day for you to be here because you're the last person in the entire planet Earth to commit any code to Antrea.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
kind of like
if aliens came over and took over blow up the world right now, you'd be like the last person. Okay, so what's this? Why don't you tell us what this is?
This is kind of a little bit changed to our end-to-end test framework to make it better. Just a little bit improvement, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so you got
the last commit. Is you adding testing?
I'm sorry?
The last commits, you're adding testing? That's it?
Not adding testing. It's like make the test framework better. Like how we decided the connectivity based on like a lot of probes. Like maybe some probes is connect, some probes is a timeout. How we decided it's we count it as connected or dropped it. So,
we need features. We need features, Grayson. We only ship features, man.
Yeah, I'm working on another features. This is
he's got features going on too. All right. So let me get clusters. So we're going to install 1.4 today. So let me delete cluster -- name equals Antrea. Let me delete this cluster while we get started. So that looks a lot like our network policy upstream tests, Grayson. So, okay, cool. Grayson is adding tests. That's good news. Okay, 1.4. Okay, so we're going to install 1.4. We're going to go through there. And then there's another thing I wanted to show folks that Liz Sheng was working on to add the AntreaProxy documentation, I think. Are you familiar with this, PR Wilson? Because I think he... Design document. Here it is. Is this it? Yeah. This is a cool PR that I think it's recent, or maybe it was recently updated to have a full design doc for AntreaProxy. So like AntreaProxy, Luther's excited about it because someday they're going to run Antrea over at Rancher. It's just that day isn't here yet. So, okay. AntreaProxy is used in NCAP mode. We're going to run AntreaProxy today. So AntreaProxy is used in NCAP mode. AntreaProxy is enabled and supports all types of services. Whoa. Well, it looks like a little bit of a...
This is a kind of like a typo, I guess.
Yeah, that's a typo.
I think he wants to say the kube-proxy is disabled.
Kube-proxy is disabled, so we need to fix that. Yeah. IP6 is disabled. All the nodes are Linux nodes. Okay. We can run Antrea on Windows, though. We know that, right? So we can run AntreaProxy on Windows. In fact, we do. So I don't know if this last one is really required, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm not sure if the Windows has a support proxy all feature.
I think it does now. I think as
Yeah.
of 1.4, I think Windows does support all of the features. Hey, what's up? El Miko is here. Ashutosh is here. He's got a picture of an airplane. El Miko, my friend from Red Hat, is here, and I think he's still working on Cluster API over there. What's up, El Miko? What are you working on nowadays? Like, he's he used to work on OpenStack a long time ago, and then he was OpenShift, and then I don't know, and then he was doing Cluster API stuff. I think he was working on machine health checks or something. So I just pushed a 1.4 update to the little kind local up script. So I'm going to 1.4 update for Antrea local up script. So I'm going to git push that. Oh, you all see my secret things I'm doing here. Okay. Git push origin. Let me push this, okay? So if folks want to play at home, I think I've shown folks this before, but you can go to this script here. This kind local up script is what I use for installing and playing with different CIs. So you can grab this script and you can set the, oh yeah, there he is. There's Lubron. What's up, Lubron? So you can run this script, K8s prototypes, blob, kind local up, and then you send it the Antrea argument. Why won't it get pull --rebase? Let me push this up. So the way we do the Antrea stuff on this is we just patch the Antrea image inside of the. So if you clone down Antrea, there's a CI script. So what we do is we sort of leverage that under the hood, and we just patch the image. So now we're going to test 1.4. So here we go. So I'm going to do cluster equals Antrea kind local up, and I got to go to the right directory here.
It's quite the config param.
What's that?
It's quite the config param, your XYZ over here.
Oops, I screwed up. Luther. I screwed up.
Because I was talking to you. Sorry about that.
So tell us about the feature you've been working on, Grayson, while I do this. Luther wants to tell us about the feature.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah, currently I'm working on a service account selector called. It's kind of like you can use the service account as a selector in the Antrea native network policy, because sometimes you want to, like, the service account is kind of abstract to define a group of pod. You define its kind of access to external service or something like that. So maybe you want to apply some network policy to these groups. Without this, maybe you have to define a lot of network policy to select all these pods. And after this, you can just use service account. So all the pods with this service account will be selected. Like you cannot talk to some specific pod or something.
Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Is that how long has that been in the works?
Maybe 1 or 2 weeks. We just get the design doc. It's under review. After that, we'll start to develop this. Hopefully, it will be in the 1.5.
Okay. Yeah, I remember so I remember these whole service account network. People were asking for these, right? So I remember. Yeah. I'm going to search service account. I don't know if I have it, but I remember folks were asking for these at one point, and we didn't have them. So that's exciting. I think other CNIs have them. Like I think Calico, you can do that.
Yeah, Calico had that.
That's cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. So is there a design doc for that?
It's still in a draft condition, I guess. And
It's
yeah,
still okay.
not in the not in public.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, it's in the
It's just a Google Doc somewhere. Okay, cool. So I'm going to spin up 1.4. While that comes up, this was interesting. I saw this, and I know Scott was excited about it. Scott Rosenberg was telling me about this the other day. Egress IPs. So now this is not 1.4. This was around for, I think, before. This is in 1.3. This was around, but it allows you to. So if I normally, how do I do this? Where am I? Yeah. So if I go over here and I say, like, so normally if I've got up, here's one of my diagrams. You ready? Here we go. I'm going to do it. I'm going to draw. Okay. So normally you have a node and you have a pod, and that pod lives on that node, let's say, right? And that pod is going to say, go to say www dot say Domino's. Okay. So we're going to Domino's. Okay. We're ordering a pizza. Okay. So when it reaches out, y'all probably know this. When it reaches out, if the node's IP is say 1.2.3.4, and then the pod's IP is say 3.3.3.1, right? Then the incoming IP here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's usually going to be the way it works, right? And that IP is going to be, so it's like, so it's going to get, what is it called? Source natting or destination natting? This is source natting, right? It's going to get natted out. So that way, when this sends the traffic back, it goes to the node, and then the node sends the traffic to the pod. In general, that makes sense. But this is a problem if you are in an enterprise and you, for example, you want to, maybe you're in an enterprise and you want to only allow traffic from, say, 4 dot something. I don't know. I'm just making up IPs here that aren't real. So maybe I only want to allow things from the 4 whatever, so 4.0.0.0 whatever /16, let's say let's say that's what's allowed. Well, then this traffic would be disallowed, right? So what the egress IPs allow you to do is they allow you to not use the node IP and instead sort of use your own IP that you choose as the outgoing IP address. So that allows you to be very, very sort of discriminate about what IPs you might be accepting, or like, you can have all your IPs that are all the traffic that's leaving your pods can go out of a very well-defined IP range as opposed to just leveraging the node's IP address. So this is real good for, like, if you're a SaaS and you want to allow certain things and don't want to allow other things, but you don't have very good control over the IP addresses of the nodes in your cluster, and so on and so forth. That's my understanding of the new egress feature. I don't know. Is that accurate, Grayson? Or am I missing anything? Junjen. Uh-oh. Text is blurry. Yeah. Let me make the text bigger. Here we go. Zach, let me know when it looks better. There we go. Cool. Okay, so that's another one of these new features that we're not going to be able to test today. This came out in 1.3. But anyway, so now I think we should be legible. And let's see if our cluster, okay, a cluster came up and our Antrea agent is running down here. And let's confirm it's the right version. Oops. ETL edit on that. Cool. There we go. All right. So we're at 1.4. So we've got 1.4 running now. I've got a kube-proxy. Let me kill the kube-proxy. Delete ds-n kube system kube-proxy. Okay. So let's get rid of that proxy so that we're not proxying any traffic anymore. Okay. So we're not proxying any traffic. Okay. So there may be some IP tables rules that might have been written by that proxy. It doesn't matter though. We're gonna make a new pod here. So we've got the AntreaProxy. Grayson, is there a diagram of AntreaProxy anywhere? Let's see. G and Jen still not super clear. Okay, make it bigger.
Yeah, I guess it's under the doc in the GitHub.
Okay, cool.
There's
can you leave that link in the stream?
Yeah,
I'll join it. Okay, cool. Luther Monson. So Luther, I heard, by the way, Vivek. I think Vivek was going to come, but I don't know if he.
You said he was, yeah.
He had a question. I was talking to him earlier about what's the difference between crossplane and K3s? Do you know what the difference is?
I thought crossplane was you were talking about crossplane.io, right?
I think he said there was some relationship, and I was like, yeah, I didn't think there was. I didn't think from my perspective that it had anything. I thought they were totally different. I
had never even heard about it until you mentioned it this morning.
Okay.
Universal.
I leave the comment.
Are people running crossplane on K3s? That was a question he had, and I didn't know how to answer it.
I don't think so. I mean, I've been in that code base. I don't remember seeing anything talking about it.
We were going to talk about it, but okay.
Right, let me grok the code base real quick so I don't sound like a complete idiot on the internet. Let's see if it's just.
There's Vivek.
We don't even use the word crossplane in the entire code base. Vivek, explain yourself. What did I do?
Vivek's here. I don't know. He's in the channel, so he may have he may be able to add some details, but we were gonna.
And he says they're different. He said that I am right and you are wrong. I think Vivek, I need you to repeat that very loud and very clear.
So if I do, yeah, we'll get it out of him. Hold on. So if I do kubectl create -f, I'm going to create an Nginx pod. So I'm going to create an Nginx in a BusyBox. So I have this smoke. Oops. I'm going to cd smoke tests kubectl.
Hey, let me answer Vivek real quick. I'm gonna poke it real quick, okay, Vivek? I'll see if that's possible. That's interesting though. I don't know what crossplane completely does right now though. So give me a second and let me see if it can go in there. And what it should be is on the show, by the way. I'm not sure why Vivek isn't over here.
Just ask if there's a way to orchestrate K3C crossplane. Oh, Grayson, what happened? I think.
I just misclicked the button. Could you see the? I sent the doc in the comment.
Yeah. Let's see. Where's the doc? Where's the doc? Where's the doc? Oh, you left in the. I don't see the doc.
Oh,
Did you
really?
leave it in the YouTube comments or in the?
Oh yeah, on the YouTube comments.
Okay, cool. You can leave it in the YouTube comments if you want. Here, I'll do it. Okay, cool. So there is the OVS. Okay, there's our little visual aid. Thank you, Grayson. Okay, so I'm gonna make it big. Zach, is that looking better? Okay. Let's see if we get a diagram in here. I think we've used this before, but I don't think this has the proxy in it, or does it? And it's just I'm looking in the wrong place.
Actually, AntreaProxy is based on the OVS pipeline.
Yeah, so it's just really another implementation detail of how OVS works. I see what you mean. Okay. Are the rules in here? Here we go. So, okay, so here we go. So here are is there a set of rules that are managed by the AntreaProxy here? Or a set of tables that are managed by the proxy? Is that how this works? Or are these rules just...
For example, like when you proxy the service traffic, it's for the table 41, 42.
Table 41. Okay,
yeah. For example, the traffic is targeting the cluster IP of the specific service, and this table can do the DNet to the endpoints of this service.
Okay.
And do the load balance.
Oh, okay. Let me make sure the resolution on the stream is correct. Thanks for that feedback. Let me see. I think it should be, yeah, it should be 1080p, Zach, but I'm going to make the text bigger because I think we just have to have, we're not, my monitor's 4K and the stream is only in 1080p. And if I did the stream in some other resolution, then half the people wouldn't be able to see it anyway. So, okay, so 41, and then what's the other one?
42.
42. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are and are there other ones that get written to by the proxy, or is it write to other tables, or does it do things in other tables? Or is it able to just edit these tables and then that's enough to enable the proxy? I guess that's a good question for next time, huh?
What do you mean? Like, you mean other table doing the proxy job?
So when I think of Antrea, I think of things that have to edit these tables in order to do their job, right? So yeah. I think of like Antrea network policy has to edit, like, for example, I know that it has to go and it has to, I think, well, it has to modify table 85, right? And it has to touch table 45. But, you know, I'm assuming that Antrea network policy is spoof guard. It has nothing to do with it, right? And I'm assuming it's not doing anything to the contract table, right? Yeah. But I'm assuming that's the Antrea network policies. But then when we're doing AntreaProxying, you're telling me that these two tables are two of the tables that the AntreaProxy components use. Are there other tables that those components also use? Like, do they have to write to the other tables? I guess what I'm wondering is, you know, does every Antrea controller have to write to all these tables, or do controllers generally like work on different tables?
As this the proxy is on a data path, so you mean while initialize, the controller will write which table to do the proxy?
Can every controller write to every table, or does every controller write to every table?
The controller can write to the table, but like table 70 or 80, they are doing the forwarding. This table are existing no matter the AntreaProxy is enabled or not. But the AntreaProxy also rely on this table to do the forwarding.
Okay. So when you say it relies on it, does it have to add entries to these tables? Or remove entries from them?
I'm not too sure, but I think it's when you add, for example, if you add another endpoint to a service, it have to add some forwarding entry in this table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be an example of like, yeah. So okay. But in general, Jiunjen's mentioning that, yeah. So it sounds like you're both saying similar things, which is that, like, in general, the tables kind of are bounded to the features. Okay, cool. So all right, let's go back. And so we looked at these some last time, and it's not like we're going to understand them after today, but I like to look at some of this stuff every time we do this, because, well, maybe someday we'll know what all the tables do. So when we did the metrics, we were looking, I think, at the I forgot, we were looking at one of these tables. I think it was Ingress Rule Table 90, and how that was changing when we scaled up the number of pods in Cordiana. So I created a couple of pods. So I want to see if AntreaProxy works. So I killed kube-proxy, right? So let's see if we've got a pod. We've got an Nginx deployment pod here. And so if I do kubectl get service -o wide, Luther, is it going to work?
I guarantee it.
You get. I've never seen you so sure of anything. All right, kube-ctl exec-t-i busybox.
I'm still amazed you do T and I separately. I don't understand you.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, oops. Dash and kube system bin sh. Let's get in here. Come on.
Well, if you can get in the pod, I think it'll work.
Yeah, if I can figure out how to. Oh, what? Oh, it's not in kube system. Okay, I made that busybox pod. So I'm making a.
There you go.
Oh, what do I have? 2 containers in here? I think it's just this. Okay, here we go. So I'm in here, and then I'm gonna kube-ctl get service -o wide. Okay, so I'm in here, and I'm gonna try to get to this. So, quick visual aid here. So I've got my service, and my service is on 1096, right? Okay, so this is on 10.96. Now I know that, here we go, I'll make this big. Here we go, 10.96 dot whatever, right? Dot 85.206. Okay, so that's where this lives. All right, and then I've got I've got some OVS rules somewhere, right? I've got some OVS rules. Got some OVS rules somewhere, so that when I'm inside of a pod, I'm going to hit this service, and then that service is going to go through one of these tables that we've looked at over here. So this is a big deal, right? Like I've never really run Kubernetes without the kube-proxy, right? So one of these tables here, then, and I guess Grayson is saying it's one of these here. Some magic is going to happen.
41. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to have some magic happening over here where, if Luther's right, which I don't know, there's going to be some magic. There's going to be some rules here, right, that allow us to then go back out to our Nginx pod, right? Okay. So, and instead of kube-proxy, right? So there's no kube-proxy. Okay. No more kube-proxy. Cool. Let's see if it works. Okay. Now I'm gonna can I curl from this? I can wget. I can wget 10.96.85.206. And it worked. Okay, so I'm inside of a pod and nothing up my sleeve here. We have no kube-proxy running, and we're able to curl down a cluster IP. Okay, good. So Antrea 1.4, AntreaProxy enabled by default. I think it's been enabled by default. Maybe before that, I don't know. But okay, cool.
If I already have a cluster, though, and let's say I installed something else first, will you guys do cleanups and stuff on the way in, or do I have to create the cluster with AntreaProxy in mind?
Well, I mean, so like it depends how native your integration with TKG or with Antrea is, right? Like, so if you're running, for example, like in Tanzu, right? In VMware Tanzu, we're going to get into that in a minute, anyways, right? And look at how it's installed. So let's just look at that now. So,
is this what you call a segue?
Yeah. So that's why it's a live stream. So let's look at the way we configure it. I mean, John came all the way here from
somewhere on the internet.
But there can be cases of other tables where they do it. Okay, Giungen says in most cases one feature, yeah, okay. And then Zach mentioned. Yeah, that's what I should show. Zach, that's a good point. I should probably do my entire stream on.
Dude, yeah. When I do master classes, I always set it back to like whatever 1080 or something like that. I always set my whole entire screen, then I share everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing everything in 1080 from now on.
Or just get another box to do it on. You got them sitting around there.
So now let's look at how we install Antrea. So if we go here, if we dig into, I actually had the code open anyway. So if we look at how we install Antrea, so in VMware Tanzu, when you install Antrea, here's our YTT. And since John's here, maybe he can tell us what we did wrong here. So here you go, John. Here's how we do it. So when we install Antrea clusters, we have all these feature gates what we do is if we want things on or we want things off, we define all of that in YTT, and this all gets generated at runtime. And so in Tanzu, let me make it big. Hold on. I'm making it big. Here we go. Okay. In Tanzu, how do I do it? Okay. In Tanzu, right? If you we'll turn on AntreaProxy true. Now it turns out that we haven't fully disabled kube-proxy yet. So if there was a bug in this, you still get kube-proxy, you can still run it. But for a distribution, I think it's kind of now with AntreaProxy sort of becoming a thing that sort of does everything for us now. You can run the proxy all option, and if you run the AntreaProxy all option, then you really don't need kube-proxy. And so you would turn this to true, but you would also be able to delete the kube-proxy daemon set. Now, to do that, at least in our distro, where do we define kube-proxy? We define it for Windows, your favorite, Luther. We actually run kube-proxy inside as a post-boot step, right? So now our current version of Tanzu doesn't use this version of Antrea, so we still run kube-proxy, but we're going to delete this code pretty soon, right? So this stuff here, we're just going to get rid of it. And then at that point, we won't be running kube-proxy as an NSSM service anymore. And we'll just be running AntreaProxy with the proxy all set to true. I think it's AntreaProxy all is the actual way you do that, and then it'll proxy all traffic. And then you won't need it. So it's it's just it's a thing. We're gonna have that native integration in Tanzu, but I don't know. Once we get in Rancher, maybe we'll be able to do the same thing. Where is so does it work? Blah blah blah. Okay. So so the feature gates. So we kind of skipped ahead here, but so the way this all works. So if we look in Tanzu and we look at how we install. So the last thing we're going to go over is we have two more things I wanted to get into. One was go over how we actually use Carvel. So for folks that don't know, Carvel, where is Carvel? Where's if you Google it, you get all these other stuff. You get ice cream. Carvel Kubernetes. Here we go. Carvel.dev. There it is. John. So John, what's the latest news in the Carvel world? For Tanzu, we use kapp-controller, we use YTT, we use kapp. We use these three. We use all this stuff. But for when it comes to the life cycle of how Antrea is installed, we really heavily rely on those three. So the way it works is we have kapp-controller, right? And then we have kapp, right? And when you install Antrea, it's actually installed as an application instance, right? And kapp then reconciles all of Antrea, right? And then, but actually the entire like YTT for that, right? So like the YTT that I just showed you over here, which was here, all the configuration of Antrea is done in YTT, right? So this is the config that gets passed down, and then this config here, this config, like there's this thing called framework, right, which has all of VMware Tanzu in it, right? And once framework substitutes all of the Antrea installation stuff using YTT that the users sort of defined, then Antrea gets installed, and then the life cycle of Antrea is entirely managed for us using this thing called kapp-controller, right? So what we have is like in a Tanzu cluster, you have like a management cluster, right? So you have like a management cluster, and you have a workload cluster, right? And you have a thing called a kapp-controller here, and kapp is a thing that can manage your applications for you. It can basically make any application have operator-like behavior. And kapp is just a way of defining a whole bunch of Kubernetes resources as a single bundle, right? And so what you have then is you have the kapp-controller going, and here's my kapp instance. So this is how all of Tanzu works, actually, for all of our add-ons, right? Is you have kapp-controller going and looking at kapp instances and reconciling them. And it can reconcile. So these are separate clusters, right? So you have this one operator, and it can reconcile stuff on its own cluster, and it can manage the applications and reconcile the stuff going on other clusters too, right? And so that's kind of how we manage Antrea, is we package it all up using YTT to define what parameters we want, and then kapp for the actual like entire payload of like the deployment and the config maps and all the other stuff for it, right? And so that's like a pretty reasonable amount of stuff that you have to manage, right? So it's like really nice to have Carvel to help us with that. So like on a live cluster, okay. We can see these are all the components, right? We've got Antrea config. We've got this Antrea cluster identity. We've got this Antrea CA. And then we've got kubectl get deployments. Wait, that's just the config maps. And then we've got kubectl get CRDs, right? And these are all the Antrea related CRDs that you wind up having to manage. Now, I don't know how the logic will, Grayson, you may know this. Is there a specific logic for, like, how does Antrea, when you upgrade an Antrea version, where's the logic for managing upgrading things? Like, do network policies or other CRDs and stuff have to get upgraded to the new version? Like when I upgrade from Antrea 1.2 to 1.3 or 1.3 to 1.4, is there logic for how API things have to be migrated?
I'm not familiar with this part.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm not either. So I'm not either, but I'm assuming maybe there might be something in here that like maybe one of the Antrea controllers is able to go in and make decisions about stuff like that. But I don't know, right? Like, and then it also makes me kind of wonder, I guess we have more questions here than answers. Like, what if I upgraded from Antrea 1.0 to 1.4? Like, would that work, and how would that work? We can see, I know Jiunjin's there, so maybe he has some. Oh, here's John. What's John? Let's see what's John about to say. Okay, John, and then Jiunjin. I assume you have an app CR for Antrea. Might be useful to show that, because that's how, yeah. So the app is, where's the app CR? So if we go to, let me go to Tanzu Community Edition so we can show people where this all really originates. So if I go, oh, that's the wrong. So the way this all works is Tanzu Community Edition, which is on GitHub. All right, let's go here. So TCE, we'll do a walkthrough of how it all works on TCE one of these days. But oh, and Junjen mentioned something as well. So if there are any CRD changes across versions, we do auto conversion of old CRD to new versions of CRs. Okay, cool. So now I'm wondering, like, what if I assume that there's a limit on that, right? Like I assume I can't go from 1.0 to 1.4 without any problems, or maybe I can, I don't know. But okay, that's good to know. So, and that's kind of how the Kubernetes API works too, right? Like it can, so, okay, if I go in here, so in Tanzu Community Edition, there's these things called add-ons, and then each of these add-ons, like has like a package associated with it. And Ameem is here, but I don't know if Ameem can stream with us right now, but he's kind of the expert on this because he's actually packaging all of Antrea for upstream and for Tanzu framework. But so if I dot this, let me see, we can go and we can look at what's in the bundle, right? So here's Antrea 1.2.3, right? And so let's go in here. Oh, look at this, Josh. Josh made one of those like video embedded things in the README. That's cool. Okay, so if I go in here and I go in here, there's an image package bundle, right? And this defines the actual SHA of the actual image that we're using. So this uses the Carvel image package toolkit, right? And that allows you to sort of create turn anything into an image, basically, right? So we use that, and then we package this all this YAML and stuff. We package all that up into like an image, right? And
when you say image, you mean like a container image? This is your burritos?
Yeah, into an OCI image, right? So the YAML artifacts are there. Here's a meme. So okay, a meme. So now we use image package to package all of the YTT, all of the YAML as a base Antrea like set of YAML files, right? And then here is the core. Like if you run an Antrea upstream, like if you just grab the YAML from upstream, that's this. And so you could see that this is just raw, right? And so this is the same thing that if you're just going to run the defaults, this is what it would be. So you start with this, and then we package up this overlay, and this is a YTT overlay. So what this does is this then patches these feature gates, right? So now where these feature gates come in, I mean, do you know where these feature gates come? Are these part of the,
There is a values where you set this configuration, and then there is a values YAML file. I think it's config folder.
Here it is,
somewhere.
Yeah, I guess it gets directly put into this config map, and then that config map is the input. So this is so it's this AntreaAgent.conf is the entire conf YAML. So that comes from this function, right? So this is the, okay, cool. So yeah, so this winds up being the way that we generate and then as John mentioned, there's like somewhere in here, there's a cap config. Here it is. I think this is what John was talking about. And so the cap config defines rebase rules, path data, kind. Where's the cap? Is this the cap CR? Maybe it is. Is this the application for the, let's see, where's Junjen? Okay, that was him earlier. Okay, so you have a package CR. That's the place to see how it's all integrated. Cool. So, okay, yeah. Where is our, well, the package CR though only has it has all the YAML, and that gets put into a container, and then we unzip that container or untard or whatever you call it. And then these are the default values that you get if you don't patch any of this stuff. So then what happens then later on in Tanzu framework, right? Tanzu framework, right, which is the code base that we're in over here, is Tanzu framework then relies on we have this Antrea add-ons and we have an add CNI. So in the add CNI, you go and you where is it? Yeah. So in the add CNI, it decides what add-on to use, right? And then that winds up being like a secret, and then that secret winds up having all the information that was bundled over here. So all this stuff winds up being like a secret, and then that secret winds up getting substituted with this Antrea add-on data lib stuff, right? But from an end user's perspective, you hack up these parameters, and then Tanzu does the rest. So you set these parameters, and then Tanzu goes and does a bunch of YTT magic under the hood to make sure that your Antrea cluster actually has those running in the wild. So then kubectl get cm-n kube system Antrea. There we go. All right, so then that's it. So then you wind up getting this, right? Whatever the situation is, right? Cool. All right, so that's that. And then I think that's most of like we have a lot of stuff today that came up. So me and Amin were looking at this earlier. It's really interesting. Antonio has another cool PR that's worth looking at. So this is another bug in kube-proxy that was fixed around stale Conntrack entries. So this just came out, and so it turns out that, and I don't know how people found this because I don't know who digs into stuff like this. Like who's able to? How do you even find a stale UDP entry? So one of the things I didn't understand, and I still don't fully understand, is why it is that Conntrack even uses UDP. But I guess it's related to, or why Conntrack tracks UDP, because I thought it was for TCP, but I guess it's for natting and stuff. But anyways, it turns out that if you have a in kube-proxy, so now we're switching over to looking at a new bug in kube-proxy that was just fixed. So it turns out that with Conntrack in kube-proxy, there was a situation where if you had an init pod and the init pod was running, but an endpoint wasn't up yet, then that thing could get tagged as like you might wind up, unfortunately, getting tagged as having a stale endpoint, and then Conntrack would get cleaned up, and then you would lose the ability to ever route to that connection again. And so we were just drawing a diagram of this earlier. We were looking at it. Here it is. Remember this one, Amin? do you? Okay, here it is. So we were just looking at this. So it turns out, so like say I have an endpoint. Here's my user over here. Okay. And the user's accessing that endpoint through this service. So that endpoint then is, for some period of time, going to be not up yet, right? And then eventually it's going to become ready, right? And so what this fix does is it makes it so that if that endpoint is not yet ready, nothing is marked as stale. And the reason it does that is because if you mark this endpoint as stale, and then eventually that endpoint comes up, then that endpoint is now just going to be like a black hole, right? So this sort of adds some nuance to the kube-proxy's ability to interpret whether or not it needs to clean up a connection or not for a pod that isn't. Just makes the kube-proxy a little more patient with the pod.
Yeah, so right. I seen this black hole comes from a new Conntrack entry created without the IP tables rules. So this is an invalid Conntrack entry. And even after you create the IP tables rules and the service is up, the endpoint's right, it doesn't clean up the old wrong entry. So you need to flush the Conntrack entry.
Yeah, so it doesn't know. So yeah, the whole PR winds up being, so this is a good way to learn about Conntrack, and it's a good way to learn about the kube-proxy. If you want to look at this PR, it's 106163. And so this part here wound up being helping me to understand it a lot, right? Because what's added here is it used to be that it would add So this stale service names, this object is managed by, I'm going to make this bigger. Oh, John has something. We need to go back to the YTT stuff. So John, we might want to do a whole show about YTT and Antrea and look at this together next time. But I'm going to try to get back to that in a second. So this stale services names, this is a function in the kube-proxy. And what this function does, this detects stale connections, is it's just, whenever it runs, right, it writes things to this, this data structure right here. And so what this PR is doing is it's making it so that it writes less to that. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to call this a stale service unless we now have new endpoints and the old end, or if the old endpoints weren't ready and the new endpoints are, right? So it adds that little bit of nuance, so you have less of that, less of those things being flagged as stale services. And anyways, evidently this fixes this, but to understand this is tricky because like you have to read this whole issue, and we only read some of it earlier today. We probably spent like 45 minutes trying to read through this entire thing earlier, me and Amin. So this is an interesting issue. I'll put this issue in the show notes here. Cool. Okay. So yeah, there we go. So I mean, we're already at the hour-long mark. We had so many things to talk about today. So to be clear, so let's go back. We got 10 minutes. Let's look at John's thing. So to be clear, the values.yaml is ideally the way to define a configuration API. Okay, we should look into that. I don't know what you mean, but I want to understand. So John, how about, I don't know what you're doing next week, but why don't you do a show with us and we can actually look at the config, how we use kapp and YTT, like sort of inside out, and kind of walk through the entire thing. I think that would be like really cool to get some of the Carvel folks on here live and do it together. Because
does he work on the Carvel too?
Yeah, he's a Carvel. Yeah, so he's up. So next week we'll get John on, and John can do a show with us, and he can show us how we might, what would be a better way of sort of modeling this this whole Antrea configuration thing. And also maybe he can tell me what to do with this wall of PowerShell that's in here. I kind of think there's a better way to do this too, but I haven't decided how to do it yet.
Hey man, PowerShell everywhere. Let's go. We can do it.
Okay, cool. So, all right, John. So that's cool. So John's going to come back next week, and he's got some questions about this, which I knew he would. So I'm excited because we're going to get some expert advice. So if you all have YTT or YAML configuration problems or other stuff maybe related to some of the stuff that we solved with Carvel, come next week because we're going to have John here, and he can probably give us a lot of advice on how we can do things better. So cool. I mean, that's kind of all I got. Grayson, anything else going on in the Antrea world that you want to tell us about, or any other news updates before we close up for today? I'm going to update
I'm not sure. Maybe we can, if you are interested, we can go back to check the proxy, like the table 41, like the exact flow or how it works.
We can try. Like, what? I don't see any reason why we can't. So what do? I just exec into an agent, right?
Yeah, you go into an agent and dump the flow from table 41, 42 to see.
Let's get pods-a grep agent. So let's get into an agent. So that's a good idea. Grayson has got us. We're back. We're execing into the agent. Okay, so here we go. So now what do I do? How do I check this out? Do I do OVS-CTL or something? Is there a batch shell I can run in here? Okay. OVS Is it OVS-CTL?
Let
PC?
me.
VS-CTL? Making stuff up over here. What do we do?
Oh,
What's-
I sent a link,
Okay.
like a command to you.
Oh, Ant Cuddle's in. Oh, Junjin mentioned Ant Cuddle. Ant Cuddle's in the agent. I didn't even know that. Oh, here we go. Okay, I got something. Here we go. You can leave that in the comments too. Here we go. Oh, we're gonna dump the flows. I don't think we've ever gone this deep before. This is why I always like it when the Antrea people come, because then I learned something new. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. OVS, OFC, CTL. Okay. All right, so we've got a cookie. We've got a duration. Okay, so what's going on here? What did we do? Wilson, I can't. I don't know what we did. I'm blinded by the. Okay, here we go. By the beauty of this comma separated string. Let's see what we got in here. We got a duration. We got a table. Okay, we got a number of packets. That makes sense to me. I think it makes sense. Okay. TCP. Okay, so you want to talk us through these fields, and then this is another follow-up show, right? It's like
Yeah,
this, we could do a whole show on
like the important thing is like you can see the network destination match. That's the like line 30.
Okay, so this is the service. This is the K8's API internal.
Yeah, if you have your like, for example, your Nginx service, this will be the cluster IP of that service, and it will do some load some register used for Antrea, and then it will go to the group 1. Yeah, maybe you can choose the flow that for your Nginx cluster, Nginx service.
Okay, so I'll go back here. So how would I do that?
What's that?
Oh, just you mean like grep for Nginx? I can't grep for the service.
No, maybe the cluster IP.
Okay, like actually grep for the cluster.
Yeah, 10.96.
So you want me to grep for 206? Grep 206. Okay, cool. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's look at this one instead. Yeah, that one didn't make much sense because it's forwarding us back to the node or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the service to this, the traffic to this service will hit this flow, since it's the destination IP is that service cluster IP, and also the port. And after some load some register, it will go to the group 6, as you can see at the very end.
What's group 6?
Group 6 is a group is a definition in the OVS. You can also dump the group to see.
Okay, so this is a definition inside OVS, and what is it?
What do you mean by definition?
It's kind of like entity, I think. You can add some group. You can dump groups. Change the dump.
Dump the groups. Oh, this is cool.
Is the grouping how you locked off traffic for the different
groups? Is kind of like if you each group can do several operation, and for example, first operation is change the destination IP to some endpoint IP. Maybe the second one is another endpoint IP, and this is called a bucket. You can put a lot of operation in this bucket, and you can assign weight to this bucket, and this is how we do the load balance.
Can I just do 6?
I
don't like that. He wants a bridge. What's the bridge?
Yeah, bridge is the br-int.
BR-int. Okay, so I do BR-int 6.
Yeah, this one.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I can give it the group, so then I can run this, and then this will give me all the rules.
Yeah, this is a group, and you can see this is a group 6, and you also you only have one endpoint, so
Cool.
Yeah, it only have one endpoint. It will store the endpoint's IP to the register 3.
Cool. Okay.
Yes, like the line 39, we store the IP to the register 3. Probably you can
What
read
is
this
this
IP.
line? What is this? What is this? Oh,
This is
hex.
IP like 10, like, yeah. It's an IP address in hex.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's the okay. So okay, cool. All right.
Yeah,
So
if you have a lot of endpoints, it will have like the bucket will have another bucket. You can see the line 37. There's this only one bucket ID 0. A lot of endpoints will have a lot of bucket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it will. You can define the weight. You can see weight 100. Different bucket can have different weight. So it will be a like distribute the load balance to the different IP.
Wait. Now,
IP.
which one is the this bucket? Okay. So
Yeah.
so bucket. So like, tell me about these buckets. So like, you have
Like this, one group can have a lot of bucket. You only have one, so the ID is 0. Weight is 100. Like, yeah.
So that's an OVS thing.
I guess you
Or is
can
that
search
a-
OVS group. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of
So
other
this
use.
is a generic Open vSwitch thing. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So like after this group load the endpoint's IP to the register, and it will resubmit to the endpoint DNAT table. This is the table 42.
Okay, that goes back to the pipeline here. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is here. Okay, so that's here. Okay. All right. Okay, so I've got table 42. Let me make sure this is legible. Okay, cool. So I've got table 42, which is here, endpoint DNAT table.
Yep. So
right.
this table will do the DNAT thing. So your original traffic will change the cluster IP as a destination to the endpoint's IP.
Okay. So resubmit. That means, does that mean it like, what does resubmit mean again?
It's just to send this traffic to that table.
Okay, so like maybe I'm here, and if I said resubmit, then it sends me back to here, no matter where I am in this whole flow.
Yeah. So yeah, you will go to this. Yeah, it's resubmit to the endpoint DNAT table. Just this flow this packet will go to that table.
So then I'll go back here, and then I go like this. So is it possible to build an infinite loop in OVS where you continually do resubmit?
No.
Why not?
We only submit to the backward table.
So if I submit this to this, isn't that a loop that goes on forever? Or I can't submit backwards. I can only submit forwards.
I'm not sure if OVS allow you to do that, but we don't do that.
Vivek, what is the Nginx pod IP? The Nginx pod IP in this case was So Grayson, we're gonna have to do a whole show on Nginx next time.
Can you do a whole show on debugging OVS too? That was interesting.
Yeah, I think that's I think we're gonna because I'm really curious. Geogen, can you make an infinite loop in Open vSwitch? I think you can. Looking at this table, groups can be dumped through AntCTL through Ant. Okay, cool. AntCuddle get OVS flows.
Wait, so can I just ask some questions here, just because I don't deal with it? You guys haven't the OVS tools inside of that Antrea container that I just saw you go into. How often is OVS actually bumping stuff? What's their cycle, and how often are you repinning those? And do you guys have to do any releases of Antrea to coincide with OVS releases? I'm just curious at how coupled it is.
Oh, I'm not familiar with the update to the. You mean like how often we update our OVS version?
Yeah, like what does OVS do? Like, is OVS just like a done project and they don't update anymore, or is like are they doing?
Yeah, they are still updating, but.
So have you guys had to repin all your OVS stuff and bump and use new features and stuff? Is OVS making stuff that you guys still?
Yeah, I don't know the.
How do I find out the version?
Yeah, I don't know the frequency or something.
Man, I'm just curious. I mean, because we got some tooling that we've embedded, and then like all of a sudden some new features wholesale right into your project. You got to get them all up there. Just curious how OVS is to deal with. Just interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, is it V? Oh, I got it. OVS. Let's find out right now. Oh God, I just started it. I didn't mean to do that.
Why did you start the daemon?
I just started. Okay, so we're at 20. Let's see. We're gonna find out.
I think that's current.
So what version of OVS GitHub? If I go to OVS, I guess I don't know whether they release in.
I think they do.
So okay, here we go. 21 tags. Okay.
Oh no.
Oh, Grayson, we're behind.
I thought it was 2:15.1. That's not even there.
We're at 2:15. We're 27 days old. Oh, we got to catch up.
From July. You guys probably CVEs in there. There's all sorts of stuff going on. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
All right. Junjin, we do not change OVS bits often, mostly when a new major OVS version is released or when we need a fix or enhancement in OVS. OVS is super active. Okay, cool.
But it's super active, yeah.
Well, I think y'all are doing great because guess what? I was just able to curl down from my cluster IP. We should probably do a more focused episode next time. We just had so much to talk about this week. Because so many people had some questions and stuff. So next week we'll do a more focused episode. Maybe we'll do OVS, or no, next week we'll do YTT with and the Carvel stuff with John.
Where's my promised cross-plane episode?
What's that?
Where's my promised cross-plane episode?
I guess we're doing cross-plane too. So we're doing let's do Carvel and then let's do cross-plane and then let's do Carvel cross-plane and then what's the next one after that? Then we'll do OVS with Grayson.
There you go. OVS with Grayson. I'm going to be there. That one's going to be sick.
Okay, cool. Well, all right, everybody. We've been in here. So it was a long show today. So I'm gonna get going, and then we're gonna see you all next time.
See you later.
So thanks, everybody. Leave some comments on the stream on the show if you all want, and we can answer them there or whatever. And give us a like on the video so we can keep doing this. Okay. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.